All right, in this video, we're gonna be looking at the pros and cons, possibly, of living in South Jordan, Utah. And South Jordan, Utah is very interesting because it's kind of split in two. It's very two distinct areas. There's a lot of new development in the far west end of South Jordan, and that's called Daybreak. And it's kind of divided in half by Bangor Highway. And we'll look more at it, but we've kind of got this new South Jordan and old South Jordan. And we'll look at some of the differences in this video. I'm Christopher McGee. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate. We are affiliated with the Keller Williams Utah. Our office is here in Salt Lake City, and I am a realtor helping people relocate from all over the states to right here in the Salt Lake Valley. If that's you, let's have a conversation. But let's jump right into the cons first, possible cons of living in South Jordan, Utah. So first up, I talked about that difference between the kind of newer far west area of South Jordan versus the older, further east area of South Jordan. If you're gonna be looking for places in Daybreak, that new development area in the west of South Jordan, you're going to be dealing with a lot of high HOA fees. And when I say high HOA fees, I mean, I've seen anything from, let me think, as little as $25 to $30 a month when you break it down, when that HOA is paid quarterly or yearly. But I've also seen nearly $800 a month for some of the HOAs for some of the condo or townhouse units that are in that area. So possible pro to that area that I'll talk about later is that it's all new build, but it's very high in HOA, and you're gonna get hit twice on HOA fees because the entirety of Daybreak is its own HOA entity with a whole bunch of HOAs in between. So you're gonna have HOA fees times 2 in that Daybreak area. There's a lot of people who like being there for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of you watching this who probably hate HOAs. Every time I make a video that mentions anything about HOAs, I'll get comments that are like, never live in an HOA, and that's fine. Some people don't hate it, but the fees here involved are gonna be a con. Now, another possible con, if this is the area you want to be in, is that if you are looking for new builds, you're gonna look for new builds in the Daybreak area, and then you get hit with all the HOA fees. If you're hoping to find something newer built, if you're looking in the older, more eastern side of South Jordan, you're not gonna find many new builds at all. And so if the South Jordan area is important to you, you're kind of stuck between these two things. Now, I gotta qualify this and say that when it comes to older homes, as I said, in the South Jordan area that's further east, it's not old homes like we would see like in Salt Lake City proper, or in South Salt Lake, or in Mill Creek, or in Holiday. In those areas, we would expect to see homes in the 1950s, 40s, 30s, or even earlier. In South Jordan, you'd have to try hard to find homes that were built in like the 1950s or before. Most of the homes that are available for sale in South Jordan, even in the area that's not HOA Daybreak, most of the homes are built in the 90s. So if that feels like an older home to you, then trying to find a home for you in that area is gonna feel like a con. Another possible con to living in South Jordan is that it is further away from one of the main reasons a lot of people want to live in Salt Lake Valley. The mountains, particularly the mountains on the east side of the valley. South Jordan is on the west side of the valley, and Daybreak is on the far, far west side of the valley, because it's that far west development of South Jordan, right? If you want closer access to hiking, or closer access to biking trails, or closer mountain biking trails, I should say. And if you want closer access to skiing, well, you're probably a minimum of a half an hour to like hiking in what's gonna be the closest East Bench Canyon to you, which is gonna be Little Cottonwood Canyon. And you're gonna be about 45 minutes away from the closest ski resort, which is gonna be up Little Cottonwood Canyon by the name of Snowbird. You're about 45 minutes away from there. By the way, that's when I checked the traffic from Daybreak to those areas Sunday night, so Google Maps was probably not showing an influx of sudden traffic when I was looking at that last night. So further to get where a lot of people like to be here in the Salt Lake Valley for the amenities that they might want, if that's not important to you, then this isn't a con. Or if driving for 30 to 45 minutes to get there isn't a major con for you, maybe this isn't a big con, but for a lot of people, that's taking it down a notch. Another possible con to living here in South Jordan is that traffic can be challenging. Now, I mentioned we're in the west aspect of the valley, we're in the southwest aspect of Salt Lake County, and if you work in downtown Salt Lake or anywhere near like the Metro Salt Lake area, it's gonna be, traffic's gonna be a bit of a long haul for you. It's gonna be like 45 minutes to downtown, depending on what time of day you're trying to get there. And then 45 minutes back home, right? If that's where the amenities are for you, or if that's where the work is for you, if it's downtown in the Metro Salt Lake area and you're living in South Jordan, then traffic's gonna be a con. Also, the traffic going to Daybreak, if you live on that west new development aspect of Daybreak, then getting there from the old South Jordan, there's like one road to get there. Now it's a well-developed road. You can come at it from a further west angle or a further south angle. But if you're just coming at it from where most people come at it, you're probably gonna be getting off Bangor Highway, which goes like right down the middle of South Jordan and delineates the difference for the most part between old South Jordan and new development Daybreak South Jordan. You'll get there on Bangor, so getting to that point won't be too difficult, but getting into Daybreak, particularly with the way some of those HOAs are built with some narrower streets, getting into Daybreak with the rush hour time might be a bit of a hassle. That's gonna be a con. And let's talk about lot size in Daybreak, where a lot of these new developments are. Okay, we all know that your lot size, if you live in a condo, is the condo. We all know that your lot size, if you live in a townhome, from your kitchen or living room out onto a very small little spot of land that is yours in the townhome. Even the single family homes, many of them in the Daybreak HOA area are gonna be pretty tight. I mean, just this last Saturday, I ran an open house at a single family home in Daybreak, and it was like on this side, it was street, and on this side, it was street, and on another side, it was like looking across a very narrow alley at the windows of my next door neighbor, and same thing on the other fourth side. It was very tightly packed in. If you don't care about owning a bunch of land, that's not a problem, but that's kind of the upside for having a single family home for a lot of people. You got room for your kids to run around, room for your dog to run around. You might not get that if you're in Daybreak in this newer area, at least not in your home. But now let's translate to some of the pros of living in South Jordan, and we'll start with the pros of Daybreak specifically. If you're in Daybreak, this whole area was made specifically for high walkability. It was made so that you can't be more than like 5 minutes away from a very beautiful park or walkway. And a lot of these parks and walkways have waterways that people can paddleboard in or swim in or fish in. If you've got a dog that needs to walk around, if you can take it on a walk instead of let it out into the backyard, then there's gonna be a lot of beautiful space for you to take your dogs on a walk on. And of course, at the open house that I just mentioned earlier, a lot of people came in who are specifically looking for a newer build, and that's what they feel comfortable with. Another pro of living specifically in the Daybreak area. And I'm gonna qualify older home again, because it's not just the age of the home in terms of when it was built. If you feel like a 1980s home is an old home, that's one thing, but if a home was built in the 1980s and it's been updated to look like on the interior and exterior, or even just the interior, you know, the layout. A lot of people feel like if you walk into a 1980s home and there's a separation between the living room and the kitchen, and the rooms are really small, the bedrooms are small, and maybe they didn't put as much of a priority on a walk-in closet or an ensuite bathroom with 2 sinks, things like this. Those are things that make it feel like an older home to some people, even if it was built last year, right? But if you've got a 1980s home that had those updates, that opened up the space between the living room and the kitchen, and maybe had 1 less bedroom, but the bedrooms are bigger, and you've got a walk-in closet and an ensuite bathroom with his and her sinks, those are things that mean the world to some people looking for a new build. And if those are more important to you than being able to let your dog into the backyard, this is a great place for you, and it's a great place for a lot of people for those reasons. South Jordan is a pretty large geographical area, and it's a very desirable place for many people, and it's got a lot of homes available for sale right now, especially compared to some of the other cities we've done in the last few months. Right now for sale in South Jordan, there are just shy of 390 homes for sale. A lot of those are the new developments going up in Daybreak, but there's homes for sale too in the older aspect of South Jordan. Of those 390-ish homes that are currently for sale, we've got a price range of anything from $260K for a 2-bedroom condo, all the way to nearly $6 million for a nearly 15,000 square foot home on a 3-some acre estate. As I say in a lot of other videos, if we were just to look between those two extremes and come in the middle to find the average, we might be really not well informed on what homes are generally gonna be costing if I'm shopping for a home in South Jordan. The median price point for a home in South Jordan right now stands at $620,000. And the property tax rate here is another pro. National average for property tax rate is 1.02% of the home's value. In South Jordan, it's 0.56%, which means if you take a median price home in South Jordan at 620 and you apply that 0.56 tax rate to that property, then you're gonna be paying about $3,200 and some change in a year for your property, and that's not bad for a 620K home. Another pro to South Jordan, and this one is specifically for the older area of South Jordan on the further east aspect of the city, horse property. If you are looking for horse property, if you've got horses, or if you just need a place to put your horses, if you're gonna be anywhere near South Jordan, in or around it, South Jordan, the older aspect of it, is known for having plentiful horse property. Now, I will tell you this about horse property. If you've ever been looking for horse property, you know that often if you're trying to just get into the market of horse properties, you know that you'll often run into the problem of a beautiful home with horse property that needs a lot of help, or you find beautiful horse property with a house sitting on it that is terribly outdated, right? So you may need to get like into the next bracket if you really want a beautiful house on a beautiful, ready to be utilized horse property. But if you're looking for horse property, it's a huge pro to be looking for a home in South Jordan. You do have safe neighborhoods in South Jordan. They are not crime-ridden streets at all. There's a very low incidence of violent crime, and most of the crime that you're gonna see in South Jordan is gonna be petty theft, petty opportunistic property crimes, much like most of the rest of the Salt Lake Valley. And the last thing I wanna mention really quick about South Jordan, and this is gonna apply mostly again to the newer development area, Daybreak, a lot of very active adult communities, very active 55 plus communities. I've had people move out there who are so happy that they are there. I've had people move out to Daybreak from Park City and love the change that they made. There's pools, there's clubs, there's biking trails. If you're looking for an adult active community, you'll find several in Daybreak, and in all of them, the residents are happy that they're there. All right, and that's it for our possible pros and cons of South Jordan here in this video. Let me know what you think. Do the pros outweigh the cons, or do the cons outweigh the pros? And is there anything else in South Jordan that you particularly like? If you happen to live there, jump on and let us know. Or if you happen to live there, jump on and let us know if you hate it for some reason, but let us know. And if you're looking to move to Utah, you're not gonna do better than to hit subscribe on this channel and know every time another video comes up so that I can keep helping you know what it's like to live here right now. Again, you'll find videos describing the areas, and you'll find shorts that I make every week that tell you exactly what the market looks like week over week. If you're thinking to move here, hit me up, let's have a conversation. Thanks for watching this one, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, bye-bye.